Since my OCD's been horrible lately, I was like, let me tell you some stories of when it was at its worst before I was put on medication. Well, like, I put myself on the medication. So I used to work in a restaurant like a year and a half ago, and one day my OCD was just fucking horrible. The worst it had ever been. And this table was like, hey, like, does the manager, let's call him Chad. Like, does Chad work? That's actually someone's fucking name who works there. Call him Jeffrey. They're like, hey, is like Jeffrey working tonight? Like, I would love to meet Jeffrey. Cause he like did some shit for the restaurant or something. I think he was like the security. But he's like, I'd love to say hello to Jeffrey. I'm like, yeah, Jeffrey's in, like, no problem. Let me grab it. I go up to Jeffrey and I'm like, hey, like 207 wants to say hi to you. They said they did some work for the place or whatever. They want to say hi. And Jeffrey's like, I have no idea who the fuck that is. I'm not going to say hi. As soon as Jeffrey said that, my OCD was like, Livy, if you don't get Jeffrey to say hi to that fucking table, you're gonna die. And my OCD has never been like that. Normally my OCD is just like, if you don't touch something, you're gonna die. So it was like, you better make sure Jeffrey says hi to that fucking table. I'm like, oh fuck, mind you, it's a busy Saturday night in the service industry. And my main mission, I'm like, fuck the other tables, is like, this man needs to say, like, Jeffrey needs to say hello to this man. So 5 minutes goes by. I go back up to Jeffrey again. I'm like, hey, did you say hi to that table? They're like begging to see you. Like, they're begging to talk to you. He's like, what? Really? Like, who is this guy? I'm like, I don't know, but you have to go ahead and say hello. Like, he really wants to say hi. So finally, Jeffrey's like, okay, I'll go say hello to the table. Like, that's fine. I'm like, perfect. So I go up to the table and I'm like, did Jeffrey come say hello? And they're like, no, he didn't. I fucking lose it. I'm like, oh my God. Saturday night in the service industry, all my other tables are like, ma'am, where are our espresso martinis? I'm like, can you fuck off? The bar is behind and I need Jeffrey to go say hello to a table or I'm gonna die, bitch. I go up to Jeffrey. I'm fully lying at this point and I'm like, hey, like, did you go say hello? Like, now they're complaining about their food. They're like dying to see you. And Jeffrey's like, okay, I'm gonna go say hi. Mind you, I'm lying my fucking ass off just because my OCD is like wild. And then I like went in the back and I was like, Livy, collect yourself. Like, what the fuck? You're bigger than your OCD. Like, what are you doing to Jeffrey? But I just found that time so weird because I was like, I've never had my OCD do that. My OCD used to, well, I still do this elbow thing that like, I'm like, oh, you have to touch this elbow. Like, for some reason, my OCD fucking hates me because it would make me do it to like men I'm talking to. Like, I'm on a date and it's like, touch his fucking elbow. And I'm like, oh my God, please no. It's like, Livy, touch his elbow or you're gonna fucking die. I'm like, I just met him 10 minutes ago. Like, what the fuck? A guy would be like leaving my apartment and I'd be like, wait, come here. Like, come on, let me touch that elbow. Like, what? And he'd be like, wait, what? And I'd be like, shut the fuck up. Come here. Like, let me touch that elbow. Like, I was trying to make it cute and flirty because like, there's really no good way to be like, my OCD is gonna say I'm gonna die if I don't touch your elbow. And then I'd lie even more and I'd be like, you haven't heard of the elbow trick? Like, you haven't heard of that? Go to part 2. I would fully lie to these men because I just didn't want them knowing my OCD was like going through the fucking walls. And I'd be like, wait, you literally don't know what the elbow thing is? And every time they'd be like, no, like, what's the elbow thing? Like, what is it? And I'm like, no, you're gonna have to figure that out for yourself. But like, let me feel your elbow. And then I would like touch their elbow and I'd be like, oh, haha, that tells me so much about you. And they'd be like, wait, what? Like, what does it say? I'm like, you fucking dumbasses, I made that shit up just because my OCD was making me touch your elbow or else I'm gonna die. But I was always like so flirty with it. I'm like, your elbow's saying good things about you. Like, it's saying good things. Now you can fucking leave. But honestly, if I was like super comfortable with the man, I would just be like, hey, let me touch your elbow or else I'm gonna die. And he'd be like, oh, what? And I'm like, nah. And I touch their elbow and I'm like, bye babe, love you, see you later. I'm like, why can't my OCD just like make me fucking like wash my hands a bunch of times? Instead, I'm touching people's fucking elbows. The next weird thing my OCD made me do, and like, this is gonna be there's nothing in here. There's literally nothing in here. This is gonna be the weirdest yet. But my OCD gets weird around death. Or like if someone was in the hospital for some reason. And like a friend of my friends was in the hospital, like almost gonna die or whatever. But then I don't know, somehow like miraculously like came out of it. That's like really not important at all. We were hanging out with him one night. I'm not close to this man whatsoever. Like, I'm not close to him at all. But my OCD was like, anytime he said something twice, it was like, Livy, you have to say, like, get him to say that a third fucking time. Just specifically this man. So he would tell a story and everyone would be laughing and be like, ha 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 ha. But he said a word twice. So everyone's like, ha ha. And I'm like, wait, what'd you say? Wait, like, what did you say? I needed him to say it a third time. But the thing is, it's like, it was a really small like, I could clearly fucking hear. He probably just thought I was actually like, something was wrong with me. And like, something was wrong with me. It was my OCD being like, Livy, you better make that man say it a third fucking time. And I'm like, oh my God. I'd just be sitting there and I'd look at him and I'd be like, you know, it's a weird word, institution, say it slow. And I'm like, it sounds so funny when you say it slow. Like, say it slow. Just because I wanted that man to say it like a third time. And why the fuck was he saying institution? I don't know. But I'd be like, institution, like, say it. He would. And he was just probably like, okay, what the fuck is wrong with her? But he really never questioned me. But my OCD was like, bitch. And it was only this man. Like, and honestly, I don't think my OCD's ever been so selective of a person ever in its life. If you're like, Livy, I'm so confused, like, why your OCD did that, babes. That's OCD. It makes absolutely no fucking sense. And it's like, you're not supposed to give into the compulsions, but it's so fucking hard not to. And that's why I'm making like this weird fucking man like say words 3 times because my brain's like, you're gonna die. OCD girls, they get it. They really, really get it. But I do like to laugh about my OCD because it feels so fucking heavy in the moment. So like, I like to have a time where I'm like, haha, it could be funny.
Am I the asshole for not giving my sister her wedding dress because she didn't invite my underage son? I, 40 male, have a sister, 30 female, who's getting married in a week. The groom proposed to her a year ago at a family dinner that left everyone speechless, but very happy for them as they are longtime companions. During this dinner, my sister asked my son, 17 male, to make her wedding dress. My son has always loved design and fashion. He took technical courses in these areas and sewing, and even his friends keep asking for his clothes because they are so beautiful. He agreed, but said that he needed time and that he would need her opinion constantly. At first, my sister was very annoying. My son drew about 50 dress designs in a month, and she only liked one, which he continued with. He sewed it with great quality fabric, which I paid for, as I wanted to get involved in a certain way. For 5 months, he made several adjustments to suit her wishes, as she always complained about something. After a while, he arrived at the final model, and it was just amazing. My mother cried seeing my sister in the dress, and I confessed that I almost got emotional too. The problem was that last week, my son came to talk to me about the wedding invitation that had not arrived for him, but for other family members. I thought maybe he didn't need one, but it still felt weird. I messaged my sister raising this issue, and she replied that she didn't want any underage people at her wedding because there would be alcohol. I asked if she was going to make an exception for my son, but she cut me off and said no. There are no children in our family. My son is the only minor, so I didn't see any sense in this rule for family members. And to make matters worse, my son was very sad and cried because he spent months on this dress and couldn't go to the wedding. I was very upset and told my sister that she should look for another dress as soon as possible, as she would no longer wear the one that my son had made. She called and yelled at me, saying I was being unreasonable and that I couldn't do this. My mother called me saying I should deliver the dress and follow the rules. But I didn't and hung up on her. Because of this, my family is divided. Many agree with me and condemn my sister's action, saying she could only make an exception, but another part says I'm unreasonable and I'm spoiling her big day. I don't think I'm being wrong, but just rational in paying her back in kind. So, am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole for not letting our daughter move back home? Our oldest moved out 3 years ago with her boyfriend and got an apartment. The issue is rent in our area has more than doubled on average since. Their landlord raised their rent 40% in the span of 3 months, and they couldn't afford to stay there anymore. Their plan was to move in with her boyfriend's parents for a few months while they figured stuff out and saved up, but they wouldn't let her come with. So they proposed an idea. She'd move back with us. The issue is me and my husband don't feel like that's appropriate. She's an adult now and she needs to learn to take care of herself, not relying on handouts from her parents. She offered to pay rent, but we would only do that if she agreed to pay the market average plus her share of utilities. Because we aren't doing that, she's been forced to share a 2-bed apartment with 6 people, some of who she finds sketchy. At this point, she doesn't call much anymore, and I'm worried this may have impacted our relationship. Am I the asshole for telling my roommate to be quiet while I sleep? I, 23 female, live in a house with 5 roommates. I've had a cold for about a week now, and I've been sleeping downstairs on the couch for 2 reasons. 1, I don't want to get my boyfriend sick, and also 2, I wear noise-canceling headphones to bed, mostly to deal with my boyfriend snoring. When I'm sick, however, my head gets stuffy and the headphones make it harder to sleep as they press against my head. 2 nights ago, I went to bed downstairs and forgot to let people know. Then our roommate, Chad, 25 male, comes downstairs and starts making tons of noise at 6:30 in the morning. I was awoken by the noise and kindly asked him to keep it down at least until 8. He replied with, "Well, why don't you sleep in your own room?" And I explained to him again the headphones, sickness, and snoring. He kept making noise, so I went upstairs angrily and got into bed with my boyfriend, slapped on my headphones, and couldn't fall asleep due to the pain.